Hey, y'all, and welcome to Monday Teaching Philosophy. Listen, I know for most of you, school has started already. For most of you, those people who live up north, they normally start in September. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going with our philosophy, and this philosophy of teaching is just to help you shift your mindset as a teacher. For those of you who are struggling in your classroom, this is the time to listen to this podcast so you can shift your mindset and maybe change some of the things that you do. So, anyway, because this is a little wisdom from the classroom trenches, because I'm still in the classroom and it's my 25th year. So I'm giving you some wisdom. I'm giving you the game, as they say. Anyway, teach your students to pause before they act. And what I always say, y'all can't even see it. There, my light too bright. There we go. Stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice. It's from a book that I wrote called Simon the Self-Controlled Seal. And for younger grades, this is a wonderful book to read to your students at the beginning of the year and get them singing that song. Stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice. Stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice. Even for older grades, it's just good to get them singing that song and put that in their mind that they need to stop and think before they make the right choice. And one of my teachers said I should change it to stop, breathe, and think, because you need to stop, take a breath, and think about. But either way, whatever order you do it, you need to do it. Stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice. Help your students to do that. And that's one of the most powerful lessons that you can teach your students. And in this story, it kind of goes through the school day, the children on the bus acting crazy, but not Simon. Simon was just stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice. Then the children walking down the hallway making noise, the children in the cafeteria making noise. And so you can talk to your children about these expectations. What are the expectations in the on the bus? What are the expectations in the hallway? What are the expectations in the cafeteria? These are things that you should be going over anyway with your kids at the beginning of the year. So why not start off with that catchy tune? Stop, think, and breathe, and make the right choice. And if you don't want to use my book, there are other books that you can use to help you push this narrative about pausing before you think. Before you act. And I also have songs. If you go to Denby's Playful Parables, not Denby's Teaching Tips, but Denby's Playful Parables on Spotify or iTunes or all the others, they have songs that help the children stop and think before they act also. It's things like make right choices, if you please. I have a lot of songs like that, but I use those songs just to help our students remember, stop and think before you act. And sometimes I tell my students in the classroom, if your mom was sitting here watching through the window, would you be doing that? Sometimes they say, yeah, which frightens me. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. She don't care. I don't think that's the truth, because I feel like your parents would care that you were here doing that. So just this all I'm gonna say today. I'm not gonna be on long. I want you teachers find ways every day to mention something about stopping and thinking before you act. This is how you create self-corrected students, where sometimes students will correct themselves. Let me tell you a story. I wrote this story and I put this story in a book that I wrote called The Self-Corrected Student. My student, I'm gonna call him Deontay. I'm not gonna call his real name, but I'm gonna say Deontay. Deontay was really struggling with behaviors from first grade, second grade, third. I mean, in first grade, he would tear up the classroom, desks flipped over, chairs thrown. I mean, he was carrying on. And the teacher told Mr. Jimmy, you got to watch him. So when he came in my room, I didn't say anything to him. I just went on with I do an opening reading where the kids go through the reading. I am the best, so I will act like the best. I will use self-control. I will make good choices. I will treat others the way I want to be treated. Therefore, I will be nice and kind to myself and others. I will always stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice everywhere I go. This will help. No, no, no. Everywhere I go. I came to school to learn, therefore I will learn. And then I go through a series of other things where they get down like a frog and jump. I pledge to J. Join the Jacob team and be successful. That's my school. A. Accept the consequences for my actions. C. Care about myself and others. O. Observe the school rules at all times. B. Be a responsible and hardworking student. With this pledge, I will succeed. And they jump around the room, and then we do other readings. We do about 5 readings where they jump around. And because, I feel like just like with affirmations, and Tony Robbins calls them incantations, because when you add movement and energy to what you're saying, it almost has to come to you. Anyway, that's what I did with the students. I didn't single Deontay out, but we just did it year after year. So third grade come around, he had mellowed out a whole lot. And I'm not gonna say it was just because of me. It was I added to it, but I know, he did a lot of other work with his teachers and his class. Anyway, third grade, his class had a sub, and they were talking and carrying on. So when they got to me, I heard them. I said, y'all not finna have music time. I'm finna waste y'all music time, just like y'all wasting that lady time. We gonna read affirmations. And what I do when I punish students, not punish, well, I guess, instead of making them, right, I will stop talking. I have affirmations all around my room on big posters, like at least 15 of them. And so that's what either if it's one student, I say, go pick 2, 3 affirmations that you feel like you need this morning for you to get yourself under control, and write them and then read them to me. So that's what I do. They'll go around the room and write, and then come back to me. And before they can join back with the class, they have to read me the affirmations. Or if the whole class is misbehaving, they sit down and I make them read on the wall. First affirmation, then I say, turn this way. And then they turn that way, read. Turn this way, and they turn that way, read. Turn this way, and they turn that way, read. And I go over, I might do it 2 or 3 times. And that's what I was going to do with them. And he said, oh, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to get out of here. I said, child, you're not going nowhere. You finna sit and read. And he carried on. Oh, now I'm proud of him, because before he would have threw chairs and everything, but not in my room. He ain't never do that with me, but he did it with other teachers. I'm going to get out of here. I say, you ain't going to do nothing. You finna sit down. And so I went by the door and stood by the door. He said, Mr. Denby, if you don't let me out this room, I will climb out this window. So he went and opened the window and pushed a little bit. I don't think he knew this was going to happen. The screen fell out. And he stopped and turned around and sat. He said, Mr. Denby, I think I done went too far. You did, baby, but it's okay. The fact that you realize that you went too far, even though we both probably should have stopped, thought, and breathed a little bit before this happened, but we gonna fix it. We won't even tell the principal. Let's go out there and fix it. I asked another teacher to come watch my class while I went out there with him and fixed it. He said, "No, Mr. Denny, I got it. You don't even have to bend down to help pick it up. I got it." So he picked up the screen and put it back on. But we that's just to show you how you can start teaching your students to stop, think, and breathe and make the right choice. And at some point, it will catch on. They will start making the right choice. And the fact that he realized, look, I did too much. I was proud of that moment to me. But anyway, y'all remember where the spirit of learning is, there is liberty.